Those who cannot change their minds cannot change anything. This is Success with Srini.
On the podcast today, I'm answering a question that a friend of mine asked me this morning. We were meeting up over coffee, we were chatting, and suddenly he asks me this question. He says, Srini, where do you think as a humanity we are going? Countries are fighting, there are wars happening, big wars, small wars, there is religious intolerance happening. As communities, we are falling apart. The rich-poor divide is big now. COVID happened. We haven't properly recovered from it. We have schools, shooting in schools, all kinds of things happening. Where are we heading with all this? This is my take when these kind of global questions are asked. I don't think I'm qualified to answer the questions. I can share my opinion, but I don't think I have the answer because I don't think like that. I think every time I listen to a question, I take it to the most elemental level, which is the individuals in that equation. So I started answering the question with a disclaimer, but then as we were going into it, we ran out of time and we had to, he had his stuff to take care, I had my stuff. So we left the conversation in the middle. Then I called him back. I said, listen, if it's okay with you, why don't you call my podcast line and ask this question so that I can play the question and answer it, because I'll have some time, I'll do some research, I'll have my thoughts in place, I'll align myself, and I can answer this question with the wider audience in my mind. So he was kind enough to call in, and let's go to the question.
Hi Srini, this is Gopi Reddy. Thanks for a quick good chat earlier in the day at a coffee place, but I think both of us had our work cut out for the day and got disrupted in our conversation and in the discussion and in what you are sharing. I got a good idea about what you're sharing, where it's going. I would like a larger audience in your podcast to benefit from this discussion. My point of view was globally, a lot of complexities and tension in the air and religious, intolerance on a flimsy grounds, there are tensions among countries, among regions, within the religion, outside of the religion, and different ethnic groups. So any which way you can divide and then have the fight. That is what is happening globally. I keep worrying about is this the 1980s, 90s I grew up with, and that was a peaceful world comparatively, even though there are some heavy clashes happened that used to be in the pre-social media time, so that we just used to get some headlines rather than getting a minute by minute description on that. So anyway, coming back to the topic, I would like you to enumerate and elaborate these so that a larger audience of your podcast will get benefit. And also it will be a good reference point for me to kind of listen to your detailed explanation on this point. Thank you in advance. Bye.
That's Sri Gopi Reddy of channelrealestate.com. Sri Gopi Reddy runs a real estate talk show on Bolly 92.3 FM, where I have my radio talk show too. And just meeting and talking about real estate investments with him is a whole different level altogether. Incredible thinker, solutionist, and has deep insights into how to invest, where to invest, and master negotiator. He considers that I could answer this question, that in itself, I take that as a pure blessing for myself. Again, as I said a little earlier, I don't see myself qualified, but I attempted. And here are my thoughts on this. Yes, it is. And yes, a lot of this is inflated in the media, and a lot of things are being pushed through our throat, which otherwise we don't need to. And depending upon who has the power in the media can really amplify whatever they want to amplify. All that is. Now, my point to him was that specifically from a religious standpoint, we are one religion. Doesn't matter how you identify yourself, how I identify myself. We have different identities, but we are one religion. And that's how we all started. We started from one religion. And that religion, in fact, is still one, which is the humanity. We are all humans. And as humans, we have some core basic things that are common between us. It doesn't matter what beliefs and values you have, what beliefs and values I have. It doesn't matter. But the basics are the same. So we are humans. Humanity is our religion. Now, it's not appropriate for me to come and say that my father, my mother are superior than your father and your mother. I can say my father is superior. I can say my mother is superior. My brother, my sister, they're all superior. My wife, my children, my kids, everybody who I have and who I have an association with are superior. But I can't question your associations. I can't question your interactions. I can't put down yours by putting mine up. That's not knowing what we know today. The amount of knowledge, wisdom we have, the amount of awareness we have, it just doesn't make sense. So eventually, it's one religion. Eventually, it's one spirituality. Eventually, we are all one. This is the truth. And in fact, even today, we are all one. Now, there is imbalance. There is value imbalance. And there is expectation mismatch. And that is there not at a country level, not at a religion level, but it's also there inside our house. See, no two siblings are same. Different belief system. Born to the same parents, have different values, have different beliefs, and completely different. How come? Two brothers, two sisters, maybe brother, maybe a sister, maybe several of them, all born to the same parents, have different identities, different understandings, different frames through which they see life, even though the source is same. Interesting. So, because there is value imbalance and because there is an expectation mismatch within the house, the discrimination exists inside the house. Forget about discrimination outside. It's there. So, as we are, as individuals, we need to use our own voice. We need to understand, I'm born, I'm aware, I acquired some knowledge, I have some skills, I have talents, I exist in this community, in this humanity, and here I am for a limited amount of time, and my time is finite. It's a lease, if you seriously think about it, right? Just a finite amount of time you have, I have. And what's the point where I need to amplify myself and I need to put you down? Just doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. There are dysfunctions in you, there are dysfunctions in me. I'm not perfect, and I'm not expecting that anybody is perfect either. So there are imperfections everywhere. And my job is to accept the deficiencies, because I am by birth deficient. By birth, as a human, there's so many things I lack, and we all lack. So we are united through our deficiencies, not necessarily united through our efficiencies. Amazing. Now, we are educated, we are coexisting. I may not be sharing the house that you are in today, but the land that connects your house to my house is common, the air is common, the water is common. I mean, things that are common. All this has been talked about by multiple philosophers. Nothing new I'm sharing here, or at least I was not sharing nothing new with my friend. But because there exists some sharing, we share some. The premise here is we need to also have equal amount of understanding that is proportionate to the sharing. So my understanding has to be proportional to whatever I'm sharing with you. I cannot impose on you and say that I have a bigger share in this, you have a smaller share. So my understanding is better than your understanding. I don't think that's possible. Eventually, this is where this is going to go. And this was a point I was making. Eventually, we're all going to become one religion. Whether you like it or you dislike it. And that religion's definition is humanity. Very simple. Yes, there is going to be a lot of peace, war, all those permutation combinations play out in the sequences will play out, but it's going to become one humanity. Now, this is going to become one. There was some element of humor here. If, as per Musk and as per some people who spend their time understanding the cosmos, if somebody from the cosmos appears today, then it's very natural that all of us will have to unite. We have to. And there are movies made on this concept, and there is some truth to this. Just because there is nobody here, or at least we don't see them, or they're not challenging us, we tend to behave as if we are not well-mannered and we are not disciplined. And the discipline, the manners, all those things will come in if there is somebody from outside who is going to challenge us. And there are different theories that now been put forward by people saying that could happen at any point in time. So forget about all that, but just for a moment, just build our understanding based on shared values. That was my, in conclusion, no, as a humanity, we are not heading towards any eventuality. We are not. Every time there has been war, there has been peace. There will be peace and there will be war. The economies have gone down, they have come up. There will be solutions found to all the challenges that are happening. Just a matter of time. So, as much as we are on the path of destruction, equally or better we are on the path of construction. So there are new things happening, there are new technologies being invented, there are new things being discovered, and all good things are also equally happening, but that's not there in the media as much. We are being led through fear. And as an individual, my message to you is that you strengthen your values, you strengthen your beliefs, you build your shared understandings, you give room for others to operate and to express themselves, and you become little realistic with your expectations as an individual, and it has to be solved inside before it can be solved outside. So you can't take a solution to at a level where it is solving issues between countries if you fundamentally cannot solve the problem inside the house. So I hope I answered the question. You see, you have to speak your voice. You need to build awareness, and awareness demands that you make a series of choices. Some choices are going to be in favor, some may not be in favor of your core belief system. But then you have to move forward. You can't regress back. And you got to listen to your own voice. You got to speak your own voice. And sometimes the voices that have been given to us by others are not real. They're not true. In fact, I did multiple podcasts talking about this. Some of the programming, early programming as children was given to us, and we have taken that programming. May not be right. I'm not saying all of it is incorrect, but a lot of it is indeed questionable. So you decide to be honest, you tell the truth, and it doesn't matter even if you become unpopular. And you need to have a willingness to solve, then to disrupt. That's the big one. You got to have the willingness to solve, then to disrupt. Okay, that's all. Those are my thoughts. I could go on. Actually, one last thing I want to add. You need to have the willingness to see other people at their best. Just one value. Just that one value. That's one shift. You need to have the willingness to see other people at their best. When you do that, all the other things, they just dissipate. They just go away. Okay, now I'm done. Hopefully I answered the question. Again, thanks to Sri Gopi Reddy for asking this question and making me think through this. And if you found value, you're watching this on YouTube, if it is, then just like this video and subscribe to the channel. If you're listening to this on the podcast, by all means, leave me a comment. Let me know that you heard this and you think somebody else will benefit from this. Please, by all means, do share. And if you have a question for me, you can also call in to 888-818-0404 and leave me a message. And I will take your question as a voice drop and answer that on this podcast. That's all for now. Wherever you are, be safe, and I will catch up with you tomorrow.